Today's lesson is lesson 2-6, solving multi-step inequalities. The general procedure for solving multi-step inequalities is almost exactly the same as the procedure for solving multi-step equations. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to clear any parentheses that we see on both sides of the equality, just like we would have on both sides of the equal sign. Then we're going to go ahead and collect our like terms. We're going to collect them both on the left and the right sides of the inequality, and then we're going to combine them together on one side. We're going to go ahead and add or subtract the terms so that the variable is on one side and the constant is on the other side of the inequality sign. And lastly, we're going to multiply or divide by whatever constant is attached to the variable. Remember to change the direction of our inequality if we multiply or divide by a negative number. Let's go ahead and get started with example 1. We're going to solve this inequality and graph its set of solutions. All right, remember the first thing you're going to want to do is circle the inequality and draw your line through it and your circle for your new equality at the end. Let me try that one more time. There we go. Next, we're going to come through and we're going to go ahead and identify our x's with some color. Now, the first thing I noticed as I did that is that the first x is a fraction. It is in a fraction. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply by the denominator because that eliminates the fraction, leaving me with 9 and the x. If I multiply that, though, by 5, I must multiply every term of my inequality by the same number so that I do not unbalance my equation, or in this case, inequality. So let me go ahead and do that. There we go. I'm going to come back through and I'm going to go ahead and identify my x's. Now what I notice is that I have an x on both sides. I see a purple x over here on the left and a purple x over here on the right. I want to get the x on this side because if the x is on this side of my answer, then remember my inequality is an arrow pointing in the direction that I should shade. That means I'm going to take the negative 15x and I'm going to add it to the other side, because if I'm going to move it from one side to the other, if I want to eliminate it from one side, I must do the opposite operation. 9 and 15 would give me 24x, the minus 35 comes down, and the 60 comes down. I'm going to go ahead and identify that x one more time because remember, it's just telling my brain, get rid of the 24, get rid of the 35. Now I must at this point start looking for add or subtract. I see subtract right here. This minus 35 is a subtraction of 35. So I'm going to go ahead and add 35 to both sides to eliminate it from one side. This is what they were talking about when they said they wanted the constant on one side. There's my constant over here, and the variable on the other. There's my variable on this side. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to multiply or divide. I'm going to go ahead and divide because I see multiply hiding right here between the 24 and the x. Whenever I am dividing or multiplying at the end, I need to make sure that I use my eyeballs. So here's my eyeballs, and I'm looking for a negative number. I'm looking for this number right here to check to see if it is negative. It is not, so my value, my inequality is not going to change from the top. It's going to stay what it was at the beginning. Oh, that didn't look so great. Let me go ahead and fix that. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and divide this. It's going to stay the fraction. I could go ahead and put it in the calculator to get a decimal. That might be easier for graphing purposes. All right, so remember when you are graphing, you're going to graph on a number line, and I'm looking for my circle to be at negative 3. Negative 3.9, so let's see, negative 2, negative 4, negative 6. I'm putting all of the numbers, I'm just labeling them as the every second one so that there's not so many. So -3 would be this one right here, but -3.9 would be almost a 4. So I'm going to put my circle right here. It is a closed circle because there is a bar on the door. There is a bar on it. Hold on, let me get my circle. There we go. Come on. There we go. And it is pointing greater than, which remember, if X is in this position, then it's just an arrow telling me to shade in that direction. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab my highlighter to shade so that my line doesn't disappear again. There's my way that I'm going to shade. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at example 2. Once again, we're going to solve the inequality and we're going to graph our solution set. So let's go ahead and start the same way. Consistency is key here. All right, there's no parentheses to take care of, so I'm going to go ahead and combine like terms. To combine like terms, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move this X over here on the right side, and I'm going to move it over here to the left side. The reason I want to move the one on the right side is because I want the X on the left side for graphing purposes. Now this does give me a -15x, but that's okay. I can work with that. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and color my X one more time. Remember, it's just telling my brain, get rid of that -15, get rid of that that plus 12. I have to get rid of the plus first by doing the opposite. There we go. And lastly, remember, this is the tricky one. This minus is a negative. The operation that is hiding here is not subtraction because this is a negative. To be a subtraction, there would have to be something right here, a variable or a number. Since there is not, this is a -15, not a subtraction of 15. So the operation that is hiding is, of course, multiplication. And to get rid of it, I'm going to go ahead and divide. Remember, whenever you are dividing, you have to make sure that you use your eyeballs. Let me bring them back. And you're looking for that negative number. You're looking to see, is the number you divided by negative? Not your answer. Not your answer. Be careful. That's the tricky part of it. It's not your answer. It's, did you divide by a negative? We are dividing by a negative, so our X value here is going to flip the sign, and we're going to have 24 over 15. That does reduce, so let me go ahead and reduce it. Let's see, let's divide by 3, and I get 8 over 5. I can put that into the calculator to give me a decimal. There we go. Decimals are just helpful for graphing purposes. They're helpful for graphing purposes only. It's a lot easier to see where 1.6 is versus 8/5. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and put my my circle right after 1, kind of a little bit right in the center here, a little bit between 1 and 2. It is going to be a closed circle because there is an or equal to sign. So let me go ahead, see if I can get my circle. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and shade greater than. So I'm going to go ahead and shade to the right. And I'm going to use my highlighter to shade. There we go. All right. Our final solution is just asking us to go ahead and solve the inequality. We're not going to have to graph this one. All right. I finally see the parentheses. Yay. Let's see what we can do. All right, I'm still going to come in and I'm going to grab my X's and color them in. This first 4X right here on the left side there's nothing to do with it. But I am going to take this -2 and I'm going to distribute it through by multiplying it to both of the terms inside of the parentheses. This -4 on the right side is going to do the same thing, getting multiplied through to both of the terms inside the parentheses. So we're going to start over here with 4x minus 6x plus 18, because -2 times -9 is positive 18. And then on the other side, we're going to have, oops, hold on, -8x. And then once again, we're going to have -4 times -9, positive 36. So we distributed this one, which means we multiplied it. It simply just means that we multiplied it. All right, let's go through and look at our x's. This time we have 3 x's. Notice we have 2 over here on the left and we have 1 over here on the right. I'm going to go ahead and combine these two together since they are on the same side. I'm going to pretend like this isn't here and I'm going to say 4 minus 6 is -2. So I'm going to go ahead and say -2x plus 18, and then I'm going to keep the -8x plus 36. And now my problem just looks like examples 1 and 2. I'm going to bring the x from the right side over to the left side, and then I'm going to solve my two-step equation. Remember, the whole purpose for bringing it over here is so that when I graph and shade in the proper direction. That would give me 6x plus 18, positive 36. Remember, pausing to color in the x is just helping our brain to make sure that we move the numbers, eliminate them in the proper order. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the plus next by subtracting. Which is 18. And I'm ready to go ahead now and get rid of the 6. To get rid of the 6, I am going to divide. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my eyeballs back because you guessed it, I'm looking for that negative. I'm looking for, am I dividing by a negative? I just want to make sure that this number right here is not negative. And by taking my time to do that, I can see that it is not. My symbol's going to stay the same as it was at the top, and 18 divided by 6 is 3. My circle would be at 3. It would be closed because it does have the or equal to bar, and it would shade to the left because it is less than.